Okay. Everybody knows that racing goes on in the Northeast year-round. It used to not be that way. Decades back, racing used to close down in the Northeast. And horsemen, would take their major outfits down to Florida to run. That's back when Hialeah was big. As well as some of the other tracks down there. And lately, racing all around the country has become like a year-round sport, and there's really no off-season or anything like that. And I came across this interesting article when I was perusing stuff online, and it came from DRF.com, and, winter no wonderland for the New York Racing Association, and they've been having some trouble, both with the weather, as well as just being able to fill races during the winter, because a lot of horsemen have been shipping out of state to run, and moving their outfits down to places where the weather is obviously nicer, and it's easier to train on a consistent basis. Here in Pennsylvania, where I am, the winter has wreaked havoc with racing here in Pennsylvania. There's been tons of days of cancellations. The track they've been having trouble maintaining the track. It probably has affected the horses with some injuries and things like that. And that really brings me to the discussion point that I know I am probably in the minority about, but again, I look at things from a fan's perspective and from a welfare perspective and things of that nature. And I'm just going to come out and say it. There is no reason to be running races at any track in the Northeast in January and February. There just isn't. And I understand for the horsemen, this is a time when, a lot of the smaller outfits can make their money because the bigger outfits go down south and things like that. And I do sympathize with them from that standpoint. But I do think there's ways, especially with this slots money constantly coming in, that we can work out some sort of agreement where racing is just halted for that time period. You've got to give these horses a rest. You've got to give them a chance to rest and recharge. And everybody, gamblers, fans, all that, we hate these 4- and 5-horse races. We're tired of seeing them. Racing secretaries are practically begging some trainers to fill races, to get their horses to go so that they can fill these races. There's not enough horses out there that can run reliably over and over again without suffering build-up injuries and things of that nature. We probably are running unsound horses because of it, all in the sake of trying to get races to go. Give the horses a break. Give the fans a break a little bit. Give the handicappers a little bit of a break. Make it a true racing season again. There really is no racing season anymore. It's just year-round racing, and, I work in the nonprofit sector, and we talk about something called donor fatigue, where if we constantly go at people, eventually they're going to stop giving because they're just going to get tired of the ask. I think there's a little bit of gambler fatigue out there right now with so many races, with these races constantly being run, and really everybody complains about short fields and not a lot of competition and races, and horsemen are saying, they're not riding races that make my horses competitive. Well, if you give your horses a little bit of a break, I think, let them rest, let them recharge, save some of that money that would have been in those purses to really make some nice purses coming up when the season starts again, maybe in mid-March. And you will get the big fields. You will get the fields that people want to handicap. You'll get competitive fields. You'll be able to fill races where hopefully most of the horses are competitive. And, you'll just give everybody a chance just to take a breath, relax. You race these horses year-round. That's just not meant to happen for them. They need some downtime. Look at any professional sport and the athletes that are in it. None of these sports are year-round, and almost all of them complain about how the injuries that occur a lot of times are because there are too many matches, there are too many games. The closest thing you may find to a year-round circuit maybe is tennis, or maybe a little bit with golf, but even they have downtimes. It's just, and I understand that, a lot of these smaller tracks, they're running lower-level horses, but that's really no excuse. There is no excuse for that. You need to shut down racing in the winter, in the Northeast, maybe down to about the Mason-Dixon line, maybe include Laurel in that. I don't know. It kind of depends on the weather, I think. But anywhere north of the Mason-Dixon line, give the horses a break. You can financially make it work. I know everybody says you can't, and it's going to lead to more problems and things like that, but you could figure out a way to make it work in the best interest of the horses, best interest of the fans, best interest of the industry, to allow these horses to then come back and run healthy, run fresh. I'm not saying you have to totally stop on them, just keep them in light training, but give them a chance to recoup and recover. It seems to work pretty decently up at Woodbine, at least from my observational capabilities anyway, that, they shut down for a period in the winter, and then when they come back with races that are designed to build horses back up to the major races that go through the rest of the year. seems to work very well for them. I don't understand why it can't really seem to work for us either. But then again, I don't understand a lot of things that happen sometimes in the sport in the U.S. that really don't make any sense to me personally, and I'm sure to a lot of other people. And we'll discuss those more on future segments of Doc's Discussion Points. So I am kind of curious to know what you guys think about it, so feel free to either drop me a line at shelterdoc38@yahoo.com or throw some comments here on the YouTube broadcast and let me know what you think. Do you think that racing really should be halted in the Northeast and in January and February? And I know any member of a horseman's group is going to say absolutely not, because that's how I make my living, but I'm curious of everybody's opinion on that, because really, as I said, there really isn't much of a need for racing in the Northeast. And that's my discussion points for this week.
This education segment brought to you by Thoroughfan. Check out thoroughfan.com to learn everything about this amazing sport we call thoroughbred racing, and to become a member today. Thoroughfan, giving the fans a voice.